Anyway, it was a sort of baptism of fire, the whole thing, because it was such a high-profile movie, and it got
Right.
such a high-profile squashing. But it kind of gave me I developed quite a good shield.
Uh-huh. So when you're talking about the roller coaster aspects of the career, obviously this year, at least for the audience, this has been a very, very big year for you, because everything's coming out at once. Like you had Tell No One and I've Loved You So Long and The Seagull. But I was wondering, from your perspective, does it feel like all of these things happen all at once, or is that just more of our perspective?
Well, it's because these are, Shopaholic I shot last year, so that was sort of natural.
Mm-hmm.
But the I've Loved You So Long, when did I shoot that? I shot that it was the year before last, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. And Tell No One was ages ago. And because they've been brought out in this country, relatively close together,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the surprise, Tell No One was a massive surprise to everybody. No one had a clue it would be that successful. It was really brought out in a sort of technical release. And then they just rolled it out in more and more theatres, and it's just fantastically successful. It's a very, very good film. I'm very excited about that because I think there's some very, very good films being made. Quite a lot of them are made in France.
Uh-huh.
And it's great that they're being exported like this. And, okay, so they don't get these massive audiences, but they make really, we have made some very individual films, some very particular films, some really good films that are made for, as I think it was Spielberg yesterday, making films for individuals.
Right.
That's what we've done with those two films. Are made for individuals. They're not made for sort of mass market. And I think that's where we're very successful. I say we, the French. I count myself as we, actually. I have to say.
It's great to talk to you about that because I'm actually a Francophile. I love French cinema.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and one of the things about American actresses that I'm always wishing more would do is actually, try to build more international careers because the roles tend to be so much better for women once they get past a certain age.
Well, what you mean 35? Yeah.
For example, like France doesn't. They really worship like Deneuve and Huppert and all the older women get great roles. Yeah,
that's so true. We're allowed. The French, they don't hate wrinkles. They don't hate. They like experience. They're interested in experience. Of course, they have their young actresses who they adore and worship and glorify and are heavenly. But they also, see the value in a woman with crow's feet. It's a fantastic thing. I think it's really interesting. Why should men get more interesting as they get older, and why not women? I mean, there's something completely irresistible about that. The beauty of youth, of course, in every country, every culture, there's that. But there is also great value to be had in experience.
I'm glad you're having that resurgence. I know a lot of people who are very excited that you were back in full force this year in the cinema.
No, I mean I'm having a great time. I'm about to go off and make a film in England called Nowhere Boy.
Is that the one about John Lennon as a child?
Yeah.
Is that
yeah.
Okay? And what is your role in that?
I play his aunt, the aunt that brought him up.
Oh, okay, great.
Qui est Juliette? La mystérieuse Juliette. Juliette des esprits, des limbes. Disparition de Juliette, réapparition de Juliette. Hop, hop, hop.
J'étais en prison pendant 15 ans pour meurtre.
Mais pourquoi tu ne l'as pas dit? On aurait pu t'aider, faire quelque chose.
Mais dire quoi?
Vous auriez pu faire quoi?
I've Loved You So Long. One thing I was curious about with that performance is in that role and Angels and Insects. I mean, you have this sort of people talk about how severe you are in those movies, and when you're playing a character like that, especially in I've Loved You So Long, where you have to carry the film, how do you modulate that so it's not going to be one note? The performance is terrific, obviously. You've been very praised for it. But are you thinking about the whole arc of the movie, or are you just concentrating on your character?
Well, I mean, my job is to deliver the raw material. I feel my job is to deliver raw material so that somebody can create a character. So I try and give as many different, obviously one tries to control in one sneaky way of what one delivers. But, I try and give a variety of things, so you can have a slightly softer version, a slightly harder version of it. And then that's what we did with this with this picture. I gave him a lot of different sort of versions. But he could modulate.
So he could, in the editing room, you mean?
Yeah, a lot of it was done there. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I really believe that. I believe that you create the performance in the editing room. But I think that you have to have good raw material. If you haven't got the good raw material, you can't create anything. But I think that you can do so much in editing.
Yeah, that's very true. Have you ever been really surprised by something when it came out in terms of what you thought it was going to be and what it turned out to be?
I just made a film, a French film, but I don't know whether it will get released here. But I had no idea that film was that film. I thought we were sort of shooting something completely different. I'm quite happily surprised by it. Can I put you on hold?
Sure.
One second?